unstoppable. Oh. No more doubts, no more fears. No more limits, no more no's, no more no's. Walk on water, run through fire, fly, fly above it all. I am free now, I can see now. I am unstoppable, just watch me go, just watch me unstoppable, unstoppable. No more doubts, no more fears. No more limits, no more no's, no more no's. Walk on water, run through fire, fly, fly above it all. I am free now, I can see now. I am unstoppable, just watch me go, just watch me unstoppable. I'm unstoppable.
Wow, that was the incredible voice of my. Hold on, let's stop this. Stop this. Technology. All right, like I was saying, that was the incredible voice of Devyn Rush, my guest for this evening. Welcome to the Unstoppable Singer. I'm your host, Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, a vocal coach, and a lead singer of the Mighty Untouchables band. I produced and hosted the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit 1 and 2, and now I'm producing and hosting the Unstoppable Singer, which is a live interview style show where I follow the lives of real life professional singers who have made incredible achievements, accomplishments in their lives and careers. And we cover everything from voice work, making money, booking gigs, songwriting, recording, session work, and a whole lot more. We really focus on going from surviving to thriving in this business and safeguarding our careers. So if this sounds like it's for you, then stick around because I'm about to give you some background on my incredible guest. It is Devyn Rush. She is a powerhouse vocalist and songwriter who most recently won Performance of the Year at the 2022 Production Music Awards in Los Angeles. Featured on season 10 of American Idol. She grew up in a musical family in a town outside Philadelphia. She began singing as soon as she could talk and began acting in musicals and TVs as a kid. She has performed at Lincoln Center, originating a role in the 2007 Tony Award-winning musical Spring Awakening, and so much more. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. I'm going to let her tell you a lot about her background too. So without further ado, let me bring her on. Hello, Devyn.
Hi, Danielle. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have you. And I'm so glad we had the opportunity to play your song. I mean, I'm unstoppable. So how could we not play that on The Unstoppable Singer? It's amazing though. Congratulations on that win for you too.
Thank you so much. It was really exciting and super, super surprising because I recorded and wrote that with AJ after party like 3 or 4 years ago. So that
Mm.
was a really surprising thing to win vocal performance this year.
Nice. That's awesome. Wow. Well, so let's talk about this year. We're
Yeah.
coming to the end of 2022. It feels like the year really flew by. Tell me how the year went for you and what you've been up to.
Yeah, happy winter solstice. It's the
Yeah,
shortest
that's
day of the
right.
year. Well, this year's been uh a lot of wow, it's been a lot of this, like just a lot of
Mhm,
changes, a lot of personal growth, a lot of professional changes. My trajectory has changed so many times throughout my career, and this year has been just another example of that. At the beginning of the year, I made a goal to myself. I had this little thing that I kept saying to myself was, I want to travel and I want to use music as the vehicle to do it. I want to travel and I want to use
okay.
music as the vehicle to do it.
Yeah.
And as a result, I guess, of that focus, I ended up going to Montreal this year, going to Italy this year, all for music related things, New York, back home. And it's really just been a year that's been like a mishmash of a lot of things.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that. I love versatility. I love getting to or diversity in all the different things that we get to do.
Mhm.
So it's been a really fun year. Super fun.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, so tell me what were you doing? What were you performing out on the road?
Wow. Okay. So yeah, like I always thought that if I wanted to travel for music, it would mean that I'd need to be a touring artist. And I
Mm,
got really surprised this year. I really think that making goals in big strokes is really fun. Just going broad strokes because you never know what's going to happen. Like I didn't get very specific about that goal. I just said I want to travel for music. And as a result, so it started with New York. Um, I went I was contacted by a producer this year to start songwriting for a new musical, and that brought me to New York and to Montreal this year.
mhm.
Um, I don't know what's gonna happen with that project in particular, but it really opened my eyes to a lot of really great things, and we'll see what happens. Um, I went to New York. I think it was at the end of last year, maybe. I can't even keep track now, but there's a musical that I'm working on, that I'm the vocal arranger for, called Millennials Are Killing Musicals, and that brought me to New York. And then Italy was for a songwriting camp with a publisher for Asian pop because I write a lot of K-pop and J-pop. So that brought a whole slew of new friends, and just it was an unbelievable experience. My husband and I decided to go on a little vacation for a week first. And then he flew home and I went to my songwriting camp and I wrote 9 songs in 4 days at that camp and
Mhm.
just met some of the most awesome people ever from 11 different countries. So this year has definitely, it's been a huge mishmash of things. And I really got to travel and got that bug out. And now
Yeah.
I'm happy to be settled home for a little while.
Yeah, that's great. So what do you attribute that all working out to? So, I mean, obviously you made the declaration that you wanted to travel with music and everything. So, do you think the just putting it out there into the universe, did you find that these opportunities just kind of started appearing for you, or were you kind of deliberately going out and seeking out things that would bring you other places?
I don't know. I think it's a little combination of both. Like, I said that right at the top of the year. I think I wrote it down to myself. And then in
Mhm,
February, a co-writer of mine who lives in Austria that I've been writing with for a few years, I write top line for him, um, emailed me and he was like, "Hey, Peter from Starlab Publishing, who Axel, my co-writer, had been in touch with, is having a songwriting camp in Italy, and he wants to invite both of us. If you're interested, I'll have him email you." And I was like, "Yeah," like, and this was, I
mhm.
don't know, maybe it was just like, I don't know, would I have been brave enough to do that, like,
Yeah.
before making that goal? Like, would I have taken it seriously? I had him send me the email. I looked at everything. I was amazed that was an opportunity that was popping up so
Mhm.
quickly, and I'm so glad that I went. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. It's funny how the universe works sometimes.
Yeah, it is funny. Well, I mentioned a few things about your about how you got started or when you got started, obviously from a young age. But I'd love for you to take us back there and kind of walk us through, what your family background was and how the music bug got you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, my mom is a voice teacher. My dad is a chiropractor, but he was in bands my whole life. And
Mhm.
my sister's also a songwriter, and she works as a talent producer now for America's Got Talent. So
Mm.
all of us, everybody is just super musical, and it was just always there, you know. And I started out doing shows, like regional productions of shows when I was really little, starting at 4, and then started to go to New York for auditions with my mom when I was 8 or 9, I think. I
Mhm.
was auditioning more in Philadelphia because that's where we lived, and doing commercials and things for Nickelodeon, things like that. No, Nickelodeon didn't come until I started auditioning in New York, and that was, yeah, when I was 8 or 9, I started auditioning for Nickelodeon commercials and, a little bit of musical theater in New York, but mostly more of that film and TV stuff. And when I was a teenager, I was really, really deep in going to auditions every week in New York, getting picked up early to go get on the train with my mom and go. Um,
Wow.
and and then just being like a showbiz kid was like my life. I didn't do many of the school sports. I was leaving school and homeschooled a couple times here and there for shows in New York, and
Mm.
just like, I don't know, got the bug and kept the bug. And my parents always said, if this is not fun for you, you don't have to do it. It was never something I was
No.
forced into doing, but I
Yeah.
just loved it. And I realized that singing was always more comfortable for me than acting, and definitely more
Mhm.
comfortable for me than dancing. And when after high school, I moved straight to New York. Also, my mom's idea. She said, you can go to college if you want, but maybe I think you should keep the ball rolling and just move to New York and see what happens. And so I did that. And 1 year off from school turned into just not going to college, and again having the trajectory just change over and over again.
Mhm.
And I lived in New York for 4 years, and now I've lived in LA for 9. And um, the career that I've got now is, I, I mean, it's beyond my wildest dreams, and it's also beyond anything that I could have imagined doing when I was a kid. Like, I think when you're a little girl who sings, tell me if this happened with you. Like, everybody says, like, oh, they say like the sweet things, like, you're gonna be famous someday. I'm gonna see your
Yeah.
name, and oh, just remember me when, and all this like stuff that is cute at the time, but then it really, for me, kind of shaped what I thought I was supposed to do. And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons this year was so fun for me is because this year has been full of sitting with myself, checking in and saying, okay, let's put aside what you're supposed to do, what you think you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
What does
Yeah.
Devyn really want? What really will fill me and make me happy? And I really think that those check-ins are so important. It's easy to get on a train that's not ever stopping, especially when you've been doing it your whole life. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that I love that you mentioned that too, that yeah, when we're kids, especially, when you're coming from a musical family too, the things that are said to us really do influence so much around, how this whole picture is really supposed to play out for you. And
Mm.
it's so funny you said that because just this past week, I took my daughters and some of their friends for a little trip to Universal Studios. So we went to Hollywood and they'd never been out there before. And so they were all so just over the moon about going to Hollywood and how cool it was. As soon as they saw the Hollywood sign, they started freaking out and screaming in the
Mm.
car and everything. And a childhood memory kind of struck me because I lived on the East Coast for a long time, but we would come out to see my grandparents here. And a couple of times my parents took me to Universal Studios, and I, was already singing at a young age and everything. And I remember they always used to tell me, you might get discovered while you're in Hollywood. And, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, yeah, probably. And so, we'd get ready to go to the theme park, and I would wear these completely impractical outfits to go to a theme park because I might get discovered. So I need to be wearing something like, a dress and heels and things like that. And, be all done up and everything. And I would walk through the park, like really presenting myself that, I might catch someone's eye. They may recognize me as being a singer, and that'll be that. But anyway, I get all that to say that I get those messages from childhood. They follow you. They follow
Oh,
you
they
so
do.
far into life until you do those check-ins and go, wait a second, what the heck am I doing this for? Like, is this really what I want to be doing? And
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a student, oh my God, she's like 17 now, but when she was 9, I brought her up on stage with me when I was singing, and in between sets, I saw a woman say to her that very thing, you're going to be famous someday. And I didn't want to correct the woman, but I did want to just kind of adjust the situation. And I just said, and you know what, Maddie, even if you're not, that's okay too, because no matter what, you can sing if you want to. It's just so important to me, because I also think that it's easy when we're told things to put ourselves in boxes. And I think that the best thing about being a singer, being an artist for a living, is that you're not putting yourself in your job is to be outside of a box.
Right.
And I really, really just, now that I'm going to be 33 next month, and now that I've been doing this in this capacity for over a decade, I really have gotten to see all these different perspectives, and it makes me feel so much better knowing, well, you don't have to choose. You don't want to choose, you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
no, yeah, definitely. That's great messaging. And I think it is, especially, when you're working with kids too, trying to paint a different picture of what the music industry or world or singing life has to offer you, because more often than not, that picture is painted of oh, you're going to be a big recording artist, you're going to be, have records and everything, be famous. And in our minds, that tells us, that is the end goal. That is where you're always shooting to be. We don't know that there are all of these many, many different avenues in the business that you can go down that are all, most of them very satisfying, very, you get a great sense of success, even if you're not, recognized as being famous or anything. And I think it's important to show, the younger generation coming up, what all those possibilities are, and how many different platforms you can use, avenues you can use for your voice.
Yeah, I so agree, because it's just such a great life filled with so much substance when you just don't make yourself choose and you just get to do everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me, you've got a lot of different projects going on. You've done quite a lot of different things throughout your career. Tell me what the day in the life of Devyn Rush is now. What in any given day, any given week, what is the project balance or the project dance looking like for you?
Okay, so day in the life. First thing is getting up with my husband Jeremy and the coffee ritual, because so if you follow either of us on Instagram, especially him, he is such a coffee guy, it's ridiculous, and it's the best hobby in the world, because it's very mutually beneficial. I mean, he makes me the best lattes ever. So we start out the day with that. And we take our dog Larry David for a walk. My dog's name is
Larry David. I love it.
And I usually start the day out with a workout. Either it's yoga or I had shoulder surgery last year, and
Mhm.
I've started to lift weights, and it's been feeling really good. So I'll do some weightlifting, some stuff like that at home. And I usually take my like cardio exercise time to listen to mixes that are coming in, and that's
Mhm.
become a little like ritual that I do. If I have a song that I've written that the producer sends me the mix back, then it's fun to like work out, because a lot of times, most of the time, it's like fun K-pop stuff. So I have to hear it on a good speaker, and so I'm in our home studio, and then I'm saying all that because I've been realizing, especially recently, how important it is for like to have breakfast and to like sleep and like, all that stuff that like I neglected for a little while because I was stressed out and I wasn't, so I focus a lot on that stuff. And then around 11 a.m. is usually when I get into the studio and start working on projects. And I have all of my days laid out already. I really love automating things. So my calendar for the week is always laid out for me in advance. And then if a new project comes in and I have to move things around, then I just make sure I let other clients know if there's not a deadline, so it's just the days are all about, for me, it's all about keeping things super organized so that I never miss a
Mm.
deadline, so that I can be reliable for people, and so that I don't get overwhelmed and it stays fun. Um, so every day is a little bit different, which I love. Today it was singing a K-pop song that a couple friends of mine wrote and needed me to sing for them, and they're both in Sweden. So we've been going back and forth and dealing with the time difference. Some days it's writing top line to a K-pop song. So what that looks like is, in over the course of like a 2 or so hour session, I'll write the melody and the lyrics and I'll record as I'm going. And that way everything is done
Mm.
really fast and I can get it to meet the deadline for the publisher. And then sometimes I'm working. I just am about to wrap a musical theater project with somebody who lives in Washington, D.C., who is he wrote this amazing musical, and I've gotten to sing all of the female characters for the show. And
Mhm.
so that's been a lot of like getting in the studio and looking at the different songs that he has for me that he needs me to do. So it's really like, and then sometimes like a commercial will come in last minute, like a commercial demo. And so it's just, every day is different. Some days are super busy, some days are not. And those are okay too. And I've just been really learning to just ride the whole wave,
Yeah, yeah. I love how you shared your organizational system and how important that is to stay on
Yeah.
top of those things. Because yeah, when you're involved in so many different projects, and then there's so many different, probably what's the word I'm looking for? Like phases, I guess, of the project, right?
Mhm.
Sending mixes back and forth, ideas, correction, edits, everything going back and forth. Tell me more about your system. What kind, are you on a calendaring system, a project management system?
I mean, and I don't know if my system is like, I know other people. I was with a friend the other night. I was making fun of him because he like sets reminders. I don't ever use the reminder app. Everything is color coded in my calendar, including my to-do list is purple, and then business is blue, green is personal, and so like everything is laid out. I just love organization. It makes me feel just good.
Yeah.
How are you with like,
Oh,
is
I
that
am
like,
all about this life. I'm
yeah.
very excited right now.
You understand? It's like this, like, you ever watched that show? I can't think of what it's called right now. It's the show where they like do all the containers and they like go to people's houses and they put things in containers. And it's totally sponsored by the Container Store, and they do little mini commercials for it throughout. And I wish I could think of the name because it's very anticlimactic story, but that's how I am. And borderline OCD, but it doesn't make me feel stressed. It makes me feel very, very happy and fulfilled.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah, so I have my calendar that's color coded. I make sure now, as of this year, that I have a lunch break in there because I was skipping that. You don't want to be
Ah.
skipping lunch while you're singing K-pop. K-pop needs lunch, and and yeah, it's just keeping everything in a way that just feels like I can look at my calendar the night before and say, okay,
Mhm.
does this day feel realistic? Does anything feel overwhelming that I need to and can move to the next day? Just a lot of like check-ins all the time to make sure that things feel good, because
Mhm.
everything that we do is self-motivative. Everything that we do um, is it requires that kind of organization so that people know that they can come back to us and know that they're going to get what they need from us in time, and all of that. So it's fun.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. I'm so inspired. I need this in my life for next year. I mean, I'm pretty
Oh yeah.
organized as it is, but I know the color coding, you had me at color coding for sure.
Mhm.
Um, it's funny, as creatives, there's always this kind of perception or picture painted of musicians, creatives, that we're kind of a hot mess and, disorganized. We wake up at noon and just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. And when inspiration strikes, that's when you work and everything. But that is clearly not the case for you and many, many others. It's your system is it's very professional. Obviously, it's worked in your favor because I'm sure you've got quite a lot of repeat business clients who are happy, who know that they can depend on you. Now, would you say that uh, this way of being disciplined, you've always been like this, or did you kind of have to really, or did you
Mm.
ever hit a place where you thought, oh my God, I really need to get my act together, or, I'm gonna, uh, like it was too overwhelming, I guess is what I'm asking.
Oh, when you just said that, it sparked a really good memory. I'm just turning off the heat because it's just got really hot in here.
Yeah.
Um, it sparked a memory. So when I was 15, I was in Spring Awakening, which was they won the 2007 Tony Award, the best musical at the Tony Awards in 2007. I was not involved in the Broadway production, and maybe we'll get into that
Hmm.
because I think it's just as important to talk about like rejections and things like that as it is
Yeah,
to talk about
definitely.
accomplishments. Because woo, that was hard. But when I was 14, I got cast. When I was 15, I did it. And then when I was 16, I was understudying in Spring Awakening off-Broadway before it did the Broadway run. And I was cast to understudy 3 of the roles. And so I had to, in over the course of just a few weeks for the summer of 2006, I had to learn the choreography, the harmony parts, and the lines, spoken lines for all 3 of these girls. And
Mm.
I have it at my parents' house. I have the green Spring Awakening binder of the script, and I had color coded it, and it was pink, green, and blue, highlighter and pen for each. So each character was a different color. And so when I look at that script, it brings back so many good memories because I wrote down my goal for being off book, and then I wrote the date that I actually was off book. And I remember how proud I was that I got off book early. And I don't know. I think I can attribute it to my mom, because my mom growing up, like, she was always on time. Like, Susie's never late for anything. She's always early. She's always, and she was the one bringing me to auditions when I was a kid, and we were always on time. And I remember being in New York and she'd go, "Come on, Devyn, pick up your feet, pick up your feet." But I was 8, so I didn't know what that meant. So I would actually be picking up my feet, which meant I was slowing us down even more. Um,
Cute.
but yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just this like type A thing has always been in me a little bit.
Mhm.
And I'm learning in my adult life how to approach type A with self-love and not with a ton of pressure, because I think that can
Mm.
tip scales either way. You can drive yourself nuts. And I have, but I've also I think I'm in a place now where it feels very balanced, and I realize that the balance is part of feeling organized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Very good point. Yeah. And I love to see, that this way of being is working so well for you. But let's definitely step back and talk about Spring Awakening and the experience that you referred to.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that uh, it's really I have a whole thought in my head of how this would come back full circle, but so I'll start with when I was 4 years old, and that was the first time that I had my very first show business rejection. I was playing Gretel in The Sound of Music. My sister was playing Marta. So for anybody that doesn't know, Gretel's the youngest, and she's like 5, and then Marta is 6 or 7. And so Lindsay, my sister, was playing Marta. I was Gretel. And one day, like 2 weeks before the show opened, we get a call from the director saying that due to child labor laws, I wasn't allowed to be in the show.
Oh,
So I guess I
no.
had to be 5 and I was 4 and nobody knew, and I don't know. We
Oh.
didn't know that that was a thing. So my sister ended up playing Gretel.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
That was first. So that was, that was the first little piece of this business will chew you up and eat you alive, kid,
Yeah.
Get ready. Then when I was 8, but my sister did a great job playing Gretel and I got to watch, so cool.
Can I just ask, how did your parents talk you through that experience?
I don't remember exactly, but I can tell you that they handled it really well because I
Mhm.
don't have any real scar from it other than feeling very sad,
Yeah.
knowing that I felt very sad. And I think I was the one who answered the phone. I think I answered the phone. They said, "Hi, Devyn, is your mommy there?" And I can tell you different times though that the way that my mom handled my disappointments over the years.
Mhm.
When I was 8, I broke my arm.
Mhm.
And I was cast, hey, to be in a Nickelodeon commercial.
Mhm.
And I had done a photo shoot for the commercial before we had to actually do the commercial shoot. And they were so gung ho, they were so excited. I remember how excited the whole crew was that they made me the Melanie, the girl in the commercial and all this. And then I broke my arm.
Mm.
My mom and I woke up at I don't know, 4:30 in the morning to go somewhere in New Jersey to shoot the commercial. And when I got there, they introduced me to this other little girl who was my age and said she was going to be playing my friend in the show. No, she was not. She was there to replace me in case I couldn't do it with my broken arm.
Ooh, no.
And there was a scene where I had to hold a clipboard and it was my right hand, which is my dominant, or no, it was my left arm, but they had me holding the clipboard.
Yeah.
And I was trying to work with them. I remember being really positive about it because I was in a sling, so I could take it off. And I remember just saying, "Oh, no, it's okay. I can hold it like this. I could hold it like this, like a real showbiz, always on kid."
Yeah.
And after that scene, I took a long nap, and it was I remember thinking this has been a long time since I've done anything. And the director came over to my mom, and then he came over to me, and this ended up later being the director of Modern Family. And he was so sweet, and he got down to my level and he said, "I'm so sorry. We have to send you home."
Mhm.
And I said to him, I don't know if I should be proud of this or not. I'm kind of proud of it because I was such a ham. I said, "Now not only is my arm broken, my heart's broken too."
Oh my god.
So
He's like,
that's
"I quit. I
yeah.
quit. Can't do
Or
this
he said,
anymore."
stupid showbiz kids, just know how to
Oh
ham it up.
god.
Um, so that happened. My mom handled it really well. And yeah, I just remember throughout the years of just being on hold for a commercial, being released for the hold, being told that it was between me and one other girl, but I was just a little too tall, things like
Mhm.
that happened. Spring Awakening, I was cast in Spring Awakening when I was 14 turning 15. It was
Mhm.
it was the last staged reading that was at Lincoln Center before it went off-Broadway. So it was that last to get funding to go to do a commercial production. And I was cast in a role named Anna. And so what happened was I auditioned for a few different roles. And when I kept getting callback after callback, and then they sent me home, and I thought I didn't get it. And then my mom came to school, and she had this huge smile on her face. She pulled me out of English class. She has this huge smile on my face. I was like, oh my God, no way. She was like, you got it. And she said, but there's a catch. You weren't right for any of the parts that they had that you auditioned for. So they're going to write one for you.
Wow.
And I mean, it was like the most amazing feeling in the world. And
Wow.
I ended up doing that 2-week, the 29-hour reading for Spring Awakening, and turned 15 during that, and was homeschooled in New York during that, and just met some really great people and made really good friends. And then the show was picked up to go off Broadway. And I think that due to equity law, I could be wrong and this may have changed, but due to equity law, they needed to re-audition everybody. And I re-auditioned. I didn't get it. So like the mind, screw of that was like, oh wait, you wrote the part for me. I didn't get it. Okay. So I had to kind of process that.
Yeah.
Moved on, like gave myself some time to grieve that, moved on. Then got a phone call that they wanted me to come back and audition to understudy 3 of the roles for the off-Broadway production. And I booked it. And my mom and I moved to New York together, lived there for 6 weeks over the summer, right before my junior year of high school. Got to go on a few times. It was great. And then the show got picked up to go to Broadway, and they took us out to dinner, and they raised a toast and they said, we're so excited to bring all of you with us to Broadway. And I'm going, holy shit, excuse me, I'm 16 and my dreams are about to come true. Like, this is all I wanted. And like Wicked had only been out for a couple of years. Like, I was in love with Idina Menzel. Like, I was so excited. And every day I called my mom from the locker room at school asking if we got the contract, because they just kept saying, we're going to give the principals the contract first, and then we're going to give you yours. So I called my mom every day, and my mom was like, Devyn, I'm going to come to school when you get that contract. Okay. I'm coming to school when you get the contract. Mm-hmm. And one night I had a friend over, and my friend's mom was over because our moms were friends. They were hanging out, and my manager calls, and she says that she had been at a party where the director of Spring Awakening had been. I said to my mom, did you hear it? Did she say anything? And my mom said, no. 2 hours later, my poor mom held this in. 2 hours later, my friend and his mom leave. My mom shuts the door and she goes, you didn't get it. And it was like, man, I mean, just like a rug, just like right on, like I was really, really waiting for the contract. Like, there was no indication.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I had gone on, did the show, like it all went well. There is no rhyme and reason. And like, sometimes I'm reluctant. I always want people to think I'm like super positive all the time. And I am. I'm really happy. And I also think it's so important to look at these things and say, sometimes these things that are totally out of our control, have no rhyme or reason, happen. And now I'm on the other side of it as a vocal arranger and a songwriter for musical theater. Yeah. And I'm seeing like, hey, like my job could change. My job could go away just as easily with that too. Like, there's just no certainties with any part of this business at all. Yeah. And I think ultimately, it taught me, it gave me a thicker skin for sure. And it also taught me to ask myself, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to hurt over sometimes? Like, I realized later that I wasn't willing to hurt over that anymore. I didn't want to keep on auditioning and feeling those rejections. And now if an audition comes up, I discern whether it's the right thing for me to audition for or not, because I think it really does takes a lot of tough skin to keep on doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, does it ever. And it's great that you are telling us about this too, because it's so true that it doesn't really matter how good you are how professional you are, at what you're doing, how many jobs you have lined up. Life can turn on a dime, and what you have today can be taken away tomorrow for whatever reason. I mean, COVID, hello,
I
like
know.
look what that
Yeah.
did did to all of us. I mean, these things just happen. What so you said that you would ask yourself, like, what am I willing to hurt over, or am I willing to, like, kind of continue to let this go on for me?
Yeah.
What are some other things, or messages that you've had to um, develop for yourself over the years to keep you going in a business like this that is so uncertain, and just there's so much rejection with it? You've
Mhm.
really got to have thick skin, a ton of grit, a lot
Mhm.
of just inner drive within yourself that makes you want to keep subjecting yourself to this sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, why? So what is it that you kind of internally have developed throughout the years that have helped you keep positive and push through and still even want this?
I think it's because like you said, so much can change in a moment's notice, but that goes for worse or also for better.
Yeah.
And I think that it's about realizing that there are ebbs and flows. And like, I was listening to your podcast, um, and familiarizing myself with the platform, and I heard you saying that people who are, new to the business or want to get into the business are listening, and that's a big reason why I'm talking about these things, because I think it's so easy to look at somebody's career and go like, "Oh, overnight," or whatever it may, or like, "Oh,
Mhm.
everything's so easy," whatever. And social media, don't even get me started on social media and like how we all have to present ourselves in a certain way, but the
Mhm.
reality is like I think the reward is so much greater than the rejection sometimes. Like,
Mhm.
I look back at things, I have this game that I play, and this is the big, thing that I think has helped me over the years to answer that question. I have a game that I play where every time that something good happens, I go, "Okay, who introduced me to that person? How did I meet them? What happened there? How did that?" And so much of the time, pretty much all of the time, it dates back to like 10 years ago when some random thing happened. I think that you and Gerald White were talking a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
That you just never know, like those wow moments of like things that you could have never, like I had strep throat, which made me start watching a TV show that then made me, it's like a whole thing, like the things that's a whole other story, but like so many things that you look back and go, "Oh, if that rejection hadn't happened, if
Yeah.
that thing hadn't happened, or if that whatever, I wouldn't have made that decision or met that person." And so I think that a huge part of sticking with it is knowing that even though you might not know what that the incentive is,
Mhm.
something good will always come.
Yeah.
Um, as long as I keep on doing those check-ins and making sure that what I'm doing is truly what I wanna be doing, and that I'm not going off course because I think I'm supposed to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Oh, such great advice too. And that's one of my favorite things to reflect on too, is looking back and seeing where the snowball started. Like,
Yes.
where where did the seed get planted in the first place? Because it really is remarkable how huge things in our life, huge highlights come from just small moments where we took one small step out of our comfort zone, or
Mhm.
we were willing to throw our hat in the ring for something, or we just took a chance, or we made a connection with somebody, and then you look down the line, and it's really remarkable how one thing leads to another, to another, to another. And it is really important to acknowledge that, and also treat the work you do, treat the way you network with people with such good care,
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
that nobody's too small for you. No
Mhm.
experience is beneath you. You've got to really treat every opportunity with great importance, and because you just never ever know what might be down the line from that. You really don't.
don't. You really don't. And it's like, it's the magic of this. You know, it really feels so magical. Like whatever
Mhm.
the universe does, there's so much that gets to be created, and m- um, things really can work out better than you might expect them to.
Yeah, definitely. Um, it this sparks my mind about uh our fascination in this culture with competition, like American Idol, The Voice, and like a lot of these TV shows now, they're great. I love I love them. I love them and I hate them, for different things,
Yeah.
right? So you were on season 10 of American Idol. Tell me what that experience was like for you, and what kind of spun out of that for you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna tell you. So there's two answers that I give when people ask me about American Idol. One is the one sentence, which is, "Oh, it was a great experience."
Ah.
And there's the showbiz response. It was a great experience. I learned so much. Okay. This is what really happened. And it really was. I mean, I don't lie. I never lie, but there's
Mhm.
the one sentence, and then there's the thing. So American Idol uh first aired when I was 12 years old, and I used to go into my room after I'd watch, and it was the first season with Kelly Clarkson. I used to go into my room and I'd feel so inspired that I'd start singing, and I would pretend to audition for the judges, and then I would pretend that I got yeses from all three of them, and I would just let my imagination go crazy with just, like, what it would feel like everything before I ever knew about, like, the law of attraction. This is just, like, my little 12-year-old little spirit wanted to just feel that so much.
Yeah.
8 years later, um my manager, who I'd been working with for a very long time, who was the reason that I had gotten the audition for Spring Awakening, for all of the Nickelodeon, everything, Edie Robb, she's wonderful, said to me, "Your contract is up and I want to renew it, but American Idol is coming to town and I think you should go audition."
Mm.
And I think she knew that singing was my thing more than anything else. And I couldn't have any representation or affiliation with anything.
Mhm.
I've been in SAG since I was 10, but I had to freeze all of my everything, and I went and I auditioned for American Idol. Um, and I did some research, and I saw that, in particular, Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson had worn a T-shirt and jeans to their auditions.
Mhm.
And I thought, "That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wear just, like, tiny bit of makeup, like, I'm not gonna, like, look like a schlub, but, like, let me
Yeah.
just go and sing and just do that." And if they like my voice, then they'll put me on the show, and they can always do whatever they want with me and put me in whatever sparkly gown they want later. And it worked. I went, and when you watch the audition, the American Idol audition, it was Randy Jackson, Steven Tyler, and Jennifer Lopez, and they were wonderful. They were so awesome, and now I'm not sugarcoating a single thing. They were so great. I was in line to go into my audition, and then all of a sudden the producers came over to me and said they're going to take a lunch break and they have a meeting. I was the next up to go. Like
No.
I was so ready. And so
Jeez.
when Steven Tyler walked past me to go to his lunch, he just like kind of like put his hand on my arm, like acknowledging how much that sucks.
Yeah.
And so like an hour and a half later, I came back. Steven Tyler comes up to me, puts his nose like basically in my ear and goes, "You better talk loud and you better sing good, you skinny little mini." And he walks away. I was just like, "Okay." So I go on, that's totally off camera. And then I walked in, and when I tell you surreal, I mean, this was everything I had seen on TV since I was 12 years old. I was inside of a television. I mean, that's exactly what it looks and feels like.
Yeah.
And so I was there. I had my number on, my blue t-shirt, my jeans, my sandals, my frizzy curls. And um and I said, "I'm going to sing God Bless the Child for you today." And I ended up singing a couple of songs. They only aired God Bless the Child. Um And they said exactly what I thought that they would say, which is you need to dress like you. They said you need to dress like you believe in yourself. And this
Mm.
business is about the package. The whole package is about image as well. And so you need to dress that way. And I I felt very excited that they said that, and that they gave me 3 yeses like my little 12-year-old inner child wanted. And I got to go
Mhm.
to Hollywood. Hollywood, which is the Pasadena Sheraton. And,
Right.
and, when I went, I think I made a mistake. Now, this is again another thing where you don't know the rhyme or reason. That was the year, it was 2010 when we, filmed, and that was the year that, like, Justin Bieber had become really popular, and, like, a lot of very, very young kids were, Justin Bieber was, how old was he? Like 12, 13. Um,
Yeah.
I was 20, and so, um, I auditioned, I got through round 1 in Hollywood in Pasadena, and Jennifer looked at me off camera and she goes, "You got it." And it was awesome. It was such a cool moment. And then the next day, I think I made a mistake. I put on some red lipstick, I put on some tights and a sparkly shirt.
Mhm.
I don't know if this is exactly what happened. I just know that a lot of things didn't make sense that day. And
Okay.
um, I went and I auditioned with it was the group of us. It was the group round, that dreaded group round, which really is very intense.
Yeah.
Um, but all I sang was, "I see you driving round town with the man I love," and I'm like, "Forget you." I mean, I didn't, like, hit any high notes or anything like that. It was just very, like, very mild, you know? But Randy said, "It was a bit of a train wreck for me. You sounded really screamy." And it
Hmm.
really caught me off guard. It was like, I mean, you can cut me, but saying that was like, it didn't make sense. It just didn't, like, it
Mhm.
wasn't at things didn't add up. Um, and I put the microphone to my mouth. I was about to say something just to, like, say, like, "Please, can I have one more chance?" Like, I didn't realize until
Yeah.
that moment how much I wanted to be on this show. Um,
Mhm.
I really was just doing it to fill a bucket list thing. I put the
Sure.
mic to my mouth, and then I thought of all the things that potentially could happen with the footage of that, and I just, in that moment, just put the mic down and
Mm.
said, "Thank you so much," and I walked off stage. And, so that's the story. It was so unbelievably cool, and, like, it
Mm.
really was a great experience, and I can still hear Jennifer Lopez's voice saying, "You need to believe in your voice is a star, you need to believe in yourself, hold yourself that way, fix yourself that way," and I think that is a great lesson. I think that's very true that, um, and, uh and overall, I'm just so happy I got to do it, and ultimately, the winner of that season was Scotty McCreery, and he was really young. He was amazing, and also he was
Yeah.
young. The two people that were, him and his runner-up, Lauren, were both younger, and I've put pieces together over the years, but who can really know?
Yeah, yeah. Man, Devin, I love your mindset. I love the way you think, and I
Oh, thanks.
love how it has manifested into a brilliant career for you.
Thank you.
Obviously, the way that you have chosen, and it is a choice, how you have chosen to spin these experiences for yourself and what you glean from them and what you decided what all of these things meant for you, and you went in to your life and it fueled you. It was like rocket fuel for you and pushed you into this beautiful career that you have today that has been like, you know, curated for you, custom made
Yeah.
just for you. And I think that that is a really, really beautiful journey. And I hope that everyone is as inspired by you as I am.
Thank you.
I love it so much. I want to make sure too that we talk about your new EP and maybe a couple of things that you have coming on the horizon. First, tell us about the new EP.
Oh my gosh, thank you. First of all, I listen to your music too, and it's cool. You do so much, you have so much versatility in your voice. And I see the things that you're doing, your cover band and the country music and the gospel. And like, you're an example too of how you don't have to choose, how you get to really, I love that word, that you curate your career and you get to really just make what you want it to be. So thanks for having me, and
Thank you.
ditto. The EP. So so this year, this was cool. This was a really cool experience. My husband, Jeremy, who is a sax player primarily, he joined me with my writing partner, Daniel McMains. And Dan is my writing partner and my producer, and I call him my second music husband.
Uh-huh.
And Dan and Jeremy and I together wrote an EP of happy pop songs called Who I
Okay.
Am. And Who I Am is the title track. And we wrote it in collaboration with Karen Nightingale, who has Nightingale Music Productions, and APM, which is the library that we have all of the songs with, which is essentially, it's all through Sony Music Publishing UK. And so this EP that we wrote was specifically for the purpose of production music, for the purpose of sync. But it's all really fun, uplifting music. And I love the way that it turned out, because it's very poppy, but it's also got like the little soul pop elements like I like. And Dan and I also have been writing a ton of music, and we released, I think, 4 singles this year, and then we paused that so that we could release the EP. And the singles that we're releasing together are all in that like soul pop vein, have a lot of Motown influences, a lot of like 70s singer-songwriter influences, and I just love all of that stuff. So it's another way that I can put music out as me and not worry about what genre it is, you
Yeah.
know?
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love
Yeah,
it. I
thanks for
love it.
asking about that.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, Greg Grunwald is in the comments and he's saying Devyn is one wise artist, woman, business person, and professional. Awesome. You
Oh my
really, really
gosh,
are.
thank
And I so appreciate that you took the time to sit with me tonight and chat. It's been just a pleasure hearing your journey and getting to know you a little bit better. But before I let you leave, answer my final question, which
you.
is what makes you unstoppable?
I was thinking about this today because I knew you were gonna ask. I think what makes me unstoppable is that I don't want to stop.
Oh, yeah.
And I think every day is a choice. Every happiness isn't always a choice. I honestly don't believe that, but I think that the choices that we make can lead to us being really happy.
Mhm.
And on a personal note, this has been a very hard year for me, too, on top of being a really fun one. And I
Mhm.
think you can have both things at the same time. But the hard things that have happened this year have led me to really get to know myself a lot better and really get to sit with myself a lot more. Um, and I don't want to stop. I love my life. I love my career so much. I love the people that I get to work with and meet that are all over the world. Um, I have the chills right now as I'm talking about it, and there are a lot of days when I just tear up thinking about the music I get to sing and the people that
Mhm.
I get to represent, and the stories I get to tell, all with
Yeah.
my voice,
Mhm.
all with writing. And I think that we can all be unstoppable because we don't need to stop
Yeah.
ever, and we're the only ones that would ever make ourselves do that.
Ah, I love that, and I am tearing up too. I'm not gonna cry, though. I have to go out to dinner still tonight, so
You look great.
I can't do that. Don't do this to me, Devyn. Thank you so much. That was amazing, and this guy, Jeremy, in the comments is saying, she's a pretty great wife as well. I don't know if you know him or not, but I think you've got a big
Thanks,
fan.
sir.
You've got a
Whoever
big
you
fan of
are, you should, like, ask me
whoever
out on a date or
mystery man.
something.
Awesome. Okay, well, on that note, we are going to close out with your song, "I Am Unstoppable." Once again, thank you so much, Devyn. It's
Thank
been a
you
pleasure. Thank you to
so
everybody
much.
who joined
Thank
us
you.
tonight. We'll see you next week.
Take good care.
Ooh, I'm unstoppable. No more doubts, no more fears. No more limits, no more no's, no more no's. Walk on water, run through fire, fly, fly above it all. I am free now, I can see now. I am unstoppable, just watch me go, just watch me unstoppable, unstoppable. No more doubts, no more fears. No more limits, no more no's, no more no's. Walk on water, run through fire,